It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we can connect with anyone in the world instantly.
Yeah, technology has really changed everything, hasn't it? I mean, how we work, how we form relationships, everything.
Right. So that's exactly what we're going to get into today. Like, how is technology actually impacting society?
hmm
The good, the bad, like, all of it.
I think it's really interesting to look back and see how we got to this point, see the historical context.
Totally. Like, think about it. We used to, like, write letters with, a quill and ink,
Yeah.
and now we're sending emojis and memes in, like, seconds.
Yeah, and it's not just about how fast we can communicate now. It's like the whole way we connect with each other is different.
For sure. Okay, so to understand this whole thing, let's go back in time a
Yeah.
bit. We have this picture in our source material of a pocket watch and a smartwatch.
Hmm.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Makes you think about how long humans have wanted to, like, keep track of time.
Right. And every time there was some kind of new invention, like from that pocket watch to the smartwatch, it's had a huge effect on society.
Oh, absolutely.
Take the printing press, for example.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just about making it easier to make books.
Right. It completely changed everything.
It was a revolution.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where, like, only like monasteries and universities had access to knowledge. Then suddenly, bam, information is available to everyone.
It definitely led to the Renaissance and the Reformation.
Totally.
Like, the printing press gave everyone access to knowledge, and that changed who had power and caused all these social and political changes. It's like technology doesn't just change the tools we use; it changes how society actually works.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction almost.
Yeah.
Like one new thing leads to another new thing. And all of them have these big consequences we don't even see coming.
Exactly. Like the Industrial Revolution. All of a sudden, we could make tons of stuff with machines, and then we got factories and cities, and the way people worked was completely different.
And then, boom, the internet comes along and changes everything again.
Yeah.
It's like we went from being connected just in our towns to being connected globally.
It's pretty unbelievable. This whole web of information, ideas, and people all connected.
For sure. The internet has been like the biggest change in like all of human history. I mean, the way we communicate and do business and socialize, it's all different now.
It really has.
Okay, so let's talk about like how much technology is a part of our everyday lives. I mean, we wake up to alarms on our phones. We look at the news on our phones. We connect with friends online. Some people work remotely. We watch shows online. Some people track their health with wearables. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? We don't even notice it anymore. It's just a part of life.
But it's having a huge impact. Like it's affecting how we think, how we learn, how we interact, even how we, see the world.
It really is. And it's important to understand both the good things and the bad things about all this technology.
Okay, so let's talk about the maybe the not so good things.
Okay.
Our source material shows a picture of like a robot arm in a factory. It makes me think about, the future of work. What happens when machines can do the jobs people used to do?
That's the question, isn't it? People have been talking about that for a long time, and it's hard to know what will happen. AI and automation are definitely changing things up, but I don't think it's just robots replacing humans.
You think it's more complicated than that?
I do. I mean, some jobs are going to disappear, but new ones will be created.
Right.
The important thing is to be able to adapt and learn new skills.
Yeah, so like the people who will have jobs in the future will have to be really flexible and be able to like learn new technology quickly.
Exactly.
So it's not just like learning to code or something. It's about always being ready to learn new things. Like the things you need to know today might not be the things you need to know tomorrow.
I think that's a great way to put it. And this is important. Technology is changing the way we work in lots of ways, not just automation. Like people are working remotely more, and there's a lot of gig work, and people need to be able to use computers in every job.
It's exciting, but it's also kind of scary. Like there's so many possibilities, but it feels like we're just along for the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Things are changing so fast, it can be hard to know what to expect. But I think it's important to remember that we can make choices about how we use technology. Like we're not just passengers. We can choose how this all goes.
So technology is changing the future of work. But what about like relationships? We have this image in our source material of a phone next to a coffee cup. Like it's such a simple image, but it says a lot.
Yeah, it is. It makes you think about how like technology is a part of even our like personal moments now.
Totally. We share pictures of like going out for coffee with everyone online,
Yeah.
and we send like good morning texts instead of actually writing a note. We even like meet people to date online now.
Crazy, really?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
our phones are like a part of us,
Yeah.
always there,
Yeah.
always connected.
Right.
But like, does that really mean we're connecting with people?
That's a really good question. I mean, technology lets us connect with people more than ever, but it can also make us feel lonely.
Right.
Like we might have thousands of friends online, but how many of them do we really like talk to?
That's so true. And then there's like everyone posting these perfect pictures online.
Yeah.
It makes you feel bad about yourself, you
Yeah.
know? Like everyone else's life is perfect and yours isn't.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that what we see online isn't always real. People only show the good things, you know?
It's true. And then there's online dating too. It's like totally changed the way people meet, but it's also like created a whole bunch of new problems.
It's true. It's a good way to meet people you might not have met otherwise. But there's also things like ghosting and catfishing, and you feel like you have to be perfect online. It's a whole new set of like rules you have to learn.
And like, how do you even know if someone online is being real? Like, it's easy to pretend to be someone you're not when you're online.
Right. It makes you wonder how real these online relationships actually are.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like you have to be really careful who you trust online.
Definitely. I think you have to be really careful about being genuine online.
What do you mean?
Well, it's easy to get caught up in like trying to look perfect online, but you have to remember to be yourself too.
Yeah, it's like we're all putting on a show online, trying to show everyone how great our lives are.
Exactly. And it's hard to like know where the real you fits in with all that.
So true.
I think the important thing is to try to find a balance between who you are online and who you are in real life. Like try to be genuine in both.
That makes sense.
And it's not just about being genuine, it's also about being intentional, you know? Like think about how you're using technology and what it's doing to you.
Intentional. What does that mean?
Well, like ask yourself, is this app or website like helping me or am I just wasting time?
Oh, okay. So like making sure you're using technology in a way that's good for you and not letting it control you.
Yeah, exactly.
Which brings us to this image from our source material.
Mm.
It's a scale with like a brain on one side and a phone on the other.
Mm.
Like it really makes you think about how technology is affecting our, health and well-being.
It does. We're always getting all this information and notifications and it can be too much.
Right. Like how many times have you been like scrolling on your phone and then realize you've wasted like an hour?
All the time.
Or like staying up late watching shows and not getting enough sleep.
Yeah. It's important to think about how we can use technology without, hurting ourselves.
So like finding that balance.
Exactly.
Like not getting rid of technology completely, but making sure it's like helping us live better lives.
Exactly. Like you have to set boundaries and make sure you're taking care of yourself.
But how do you do that? Like where do you even start?
I think the first step is just paying attention to how you feel when you're using technology. Like, do you feel stressed or anxious?
Oh, great.
Do you feel tired after being online?
So like thinking about how using technology makes you feel.
Right. And once you start doing that, you can start making better choices about how you use technology.
So being more aware of like the habits you have and then deciding if those habits are good or bad. Like, do I want to keep doing this? Is this how I want to spend my time?
Exactly.
Yeah. So like instead of just being on autopilot scrolling and clicking and stuff, we're like making choices about how we use technology.
Yeah. Right. And those little choices make a difference. Like you start to get your time and energy back and can use it for, the things that really matter.
Okay, so in our source material it talks about how important digital literacy is. What does that actually mean?
Well, it's not just knowing how to, use a computer or a phone. It's more about understanding how technology actually works and how it affects us and how to use it, in a good way. It's about being able to like tell what information is good and what's bad.
So like being smart about how you use the internet and not just, believing everything you see.
Exactly. You got to be able to figure out if something's true or not. And that's more important now than ever.
Yeah, I mean, with social media and everything, there's just so much information out there.
Right. It's like some of it's true, some of it's like trying to trick you, and some of it's just bad.
So how do you even know what to believe anymore?
That's where critical thinking comes in. Like you have to really look at the information and think about who's saying it and what their motivation might be.
Hmm. Okay, so digital literacy is like about being able to use technology in a smart and responsible way.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual responsibility. It's also about like making sure we have laws and rules about technology that protect people. And we need to like teach kids how to think critically about technology.
Yeah. So like making sure technology is used to make the world better, not worse.
Right. And we all have a part to play in that.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot, like the good and bad parts of technology and how important it is to be, smart about how we use it. So to wrap up, what's like the one thing you want people to take away from this whole conversation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that we have the power to choose how we use technology. Like we're not just stuck with whatever happens, you know? We can we can decide how it's developed and make sure it's used for good.
Yeah, like we're not just along for the ride. We can actually steer the wheel. So as we like move forward with technology, let's make sure we're thinking about how it's affecting us and make choices that make our lives better and make the world a better place.
Yeah, and let's never be afraid to, ask questions and try new things and really try to use technology to make things better.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
It was great to be here.